How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Awesome. So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to open up the floor for a few minutes just to kind of get some clarification. Anybody have any questions or anything about the course now that you've kind of gotten to cut your teeth a little bit, and then we'll move from there to we're going to have just a brief discussion on some of the material for today. Nothing that you should have been prepared for. I'm gonna bring it all up, so don't worry about it. This is going to be a relatively chilled out week. I already give you plenty to do, so we're just going to go from there. So, on that note, does anybody have any questions or anything they want clarified?
I had a quick question regarding the writing sample.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw you put in like the cover page template,
Mm-hmm.
and so for the running head, we don't leave the like actual wording running head in, right? We just delete it, put writing sample or the title of our writing sample, or do we leave the like words running head on top?
Yeah, you leave the words running, and you put the name right there in it, or for what it is. That way, you can see what it is. Yeah, it's old school to just keep the running head in that colon and then the title of it. It's old school of doing it, but you'll notice that if you're doing it in Chicago as well, for anybody else who's doing it in Chicago, I have in parentheses only used for APA in red, so you can get rid of that if you don't need it. But yeah, don't like the minutia stuff. Don't worry about it too much. That's why I just give you a template, knock it in.
Okay.
It's just a matter of formality, just so I can, you can get used to the idea of turning things in with a title page all the time. Trust me, if you turn stuff in with a title page, you're gonna really impress professors over just, we get impressed by sometimes the smallest things. Just the smallest little formalities will just brighten our day. So, and it gives a good impression of your paper. For instance, if let's just put it this way, if you have got like a sloppy title page where it's not centered, there's information missing, names are misspelled, the dates are wrong, there's no like word count. If the title page, if something that simple is not there, then you're already kind of biasing the what the grader or the grad student or the professor is thinking about your paper just by looking at the title page. So, people literally do judge a book by its cover, or in this case, an assignment. And so, put your best foot forward. There's no need to unnecessarily bias grading just off of, the title page isn't all together. So, that's why I give you a template. Other questions? Please feel free to keep them coming.
What are the times that are like the due date times for all the assignments? Are they 11:59 on the day or
11:59, yeah. So
okay?
you notice I always have not due on, but due by. So
Yeah.
that means that you can turn it in at any time up until that time at 11:59. So if you turn it, but just be careful. Like for instance, the writing journal, if you turn it in at midnight, which would be considered the next day, it flags it as late.
Okay. Oh, sounds
So
good.
yeah, just letting you know. So give yourself because I'm sure all of you are not doing this at 11 o'clock at night on Sunday or on Monday night. So, but just in case if anything were to happen, you want to make sure that you probably get it in at least 5-10 minutes beforehand. I was an undergrad. I know this works. Any other questions? Anything that you guys want clarified? And if not, can I get your comments? This is like version 2.0 of what my class was last year or last semester. Any comments on is there anything you like? Is there anything you want? In terms of, is the calendar good? Is the way that I'm setting it up good? Does it make sense with the week system? How is all that working out so far?
I would say it's working pretty good. It's like straightforward. I don't have to guess about what's expected of us. It's you make it really clear. I did have a quick question though regarding that course calendar you have on like a Google Drive, or I don't know how you did that with the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for the chapters, is it like I know like on Fridays you have like read chapters like 1 and 2. Do we have to have them done like that week, or is that leading to the next week? Like we should, look over.
Read by, yeah. So by this day you should be here.
Okay.
So like we're not going to talk about preface and introduction until next week because people are still getting the book, people are still reading the book, people are still figuring things out. I'm not going to be a monster and then assign 3 things to you and read, and making sure you have reading and making sure your thing. I think that's a little. I'm not. I have 16 weeks with you. Trust. I won't. I'm not going to burn you out in the beginning. So everything that whenever you see it, it's always by. It's always due by. So like at this time by Friday you should be here, type of thing. And you notice I'm trying to like push it like to the next week as well. I'm going to try and be, my goal is to be 2 or 3 weeks out, depending on how fast or how slow we're going. So I'll make adjustments accordingly. There's a reason why I haven't put the whole course up, is because 1, I don't want to overwhelm you guys. And the second thing is dates and times might change depending on if we're getting through something quicker or if we need to take some time. And then I don't want to go ahead and make something and then you guys are committing yourself to it. And then you're like, oh, I have until here and have until here. I will tell you this though, if I give you a date, I'm never going to do anything earlier than that. If I tell you something's going to happen on a Friday, on a Wednesday, it's not going to happen all of a sudden on Tuesday. It'll always be later. And it's usually at least with 7 days notice. I'm not looking to spring anything on you guys. And then I think there was something in the chat. Do me a favor. Let's see. I'm just going to read this out loud. So Para says, so Professor, I see all the journals are on the calendar and nothing else. Is that a typo? Do you need to update it still? Yeah, I put the journals all in there, but I'm not including like major assignments and all that yet. Just for 1, not to freak you out. And then the second is those dates are subject to change depending on how we're doing. Any other questions or comments on the course or anything that you guys need from me? That way I can make your lives a little easier.
When it comes to the the discussion board kind of replies, do we need to be replying to any of our classmates, or is it just
No,
our
you're
journal?
just replying to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I'll be reading them, and then the cool thing is it's a nice opportunity for you to basically write without impunity and not have to worry that, oh my god, I'm doing something wrong. I want you to have that kind of outlet, because the best thing for you to do in order to be a better writer is to write. And so I don't want to, like, that's why, like with the paper that's due on Tuesday, like I just want you to give me the papers on you. So there's no plagiarism involved because it's you. So it's one of those things that I really want to I just want to give you a little bit more freedom and not feel like you're on, I don't want you walking on eggshells on a class that you're already dreading, and nobody, I know full well nobody gets signs up for this class because they want to. You guys all sign up because there's a gun put to your head saying you need to take this to graduate. So I'm already on a good foot with you guys. So I'm trying to not make you as miserable as possible. So, and I think you're going to be surprised that I put a little twists and turns in this class to actually make it enjoyable. Remember, I've got to teach the thing. this is my 6th year, so I've taught this class for a while. I'm just thinking about this. I actually haven't properly introduced myself. So let me go ahead and just give you a brief synopsis of who this crazy person is that's talking to you. So my name is Justin Valero. I have a bachelor's degree from Whittier College in political science, and I have a master's degree in national security studies from Cal State San Bernardino. So I went to grad school here. I'm originally from Whittier, California. That's where I'm at now. So I'm about 65 miles from you at the moment if you're in the San Bernardino area. I'm a big James Bond fan. You're gonna if that isn't any indication, those are all pop figures. There's a dog. There's one of the dogs. This is the dog that was on the desk for M in Skyfall. So yeah, I'm a big James Bond fan, and you will come to viscerally learn that when you take your grammar exam. All of them are lines from James Bond movies. I told you I was going to try and make it as fun as possible. And if you haven't been reading the book yet, read it. The guy is Coffee is a complete smartass, and it's fantastic. It's a really good book. It's the best that I could do for a grammar book, and also doesn't break the bank with a $150 APA book. That's my job to teach you. I don't need to have you buy $150 books for something I can show you to do in, the course of 2 days. And so that's the kind of attitude that I have with the class. I would just want you to try, more than anything. I'm not too much farther in age than you guys are. I'm somewhere between 30 and a Walmart greeter. So you can just imagine that I'm not that far away from you in terms of age. And I understand what it's like to be an undergrad and grad school. And so with that, like, I'm not going to try and make your life a living hell just for the sake of it. I'm not a sadist. I want you to be able to learn something that is going to be extraordinarily valuable to you in any career you go to. In order to be successful, you need to be able to do 4 things. You need to know how to write. You need to know how to read. You need to read critically. You need to know how to speak. And the most important one, you need to know how to know things. It's okay if you don't know something off the top of your head, but you need to be able to have the tools to find out. And that's one of the big things that we're going to focus on in here is database research, news research. I've got entire lectures and workshops that are based off of just looking at the news, like how to disseminate the news, how to break the news down, how to check sources. In the era of fake news, you have to be able to know where you're getting these things from. And when we talk about citations and resources and research, I'm going to hammer this home that, bias begins at the research level. So whatever bias you have, whatever biases that you take in from your research, if you don't get anything to kind of check that, or you just take one source as gospel, well, then you've bought into whatever biases and agenda your resources have had baked in. That's in your research now, if you wanted to or not. So I'm going to show you different ways of looking at articles, looking at news, looking at journal article research, being able to break it down. A lot of, like, the first 2 papers that we're doing, the first one is a comparative analysis. So when we do the hot news paper that you'll see next week, you'll see the prompt for it. It's a comparative analysis of 3 newspaper articles that are covering the same news story. And you're looking at the similarities and differences in coverage based off of the news source. So a mainstream news source like CNN or ABC or CBS or Fox or whatnot, NPR. You have a web-based news source like Vice or Vox or Politico or The Hill. And then you'll look at an international source like Reuters or The Guardian or Der Spiegel or the Japan Times. And you're going to look at one article from each category, so 3 articles, and you're going to compare and contrast the news coverage. And so that'll be something that I think you're going to find really interesting. And then I also have a litany of pre-recorded lectures that I've been putting together. So the cool thing is that you're not just going to be at the beck and call of having to come on to here in order to get lecture. This is kind of like the addendum to the lecture, where what we do is going to be largely trying to fill in any of the gaps that you see in the material. And I'll encourage you, before, there's only like 8 people from the class here. There's 60 people registered. So, and that's because of it's not just because people aren't showing up. It's people have classes, there's a lot of people who are nursing students, have residencies, there's people who have jobs at this time. So it's incumbent upon the people who come to these meetings to ask questions, even if you know the answer. Because when these get posted on YouTube, you are helping everyone else in the class who's unable to attend at this time. So you're helping your fellow classmates. So I encourage you to ask questions, to jump on the mic and ask the questions, because it's a lot easier than me having to type up your answer in post and having to edit. So if you can get on the mic and ask a question, even if you can get on video and ask a question, that's even better. But those are kind of the rules of the road of like how this is going to get structured. So over the course of the week, so at the beginning, so probably Friday night, Saturday morning, week 2 will already be up. And then you'll see what you need to do for the week. There'll be lectures already incorporated. There'll be videos incorporated with discussion questions, and then the meetings that we have will be the addendum to that. Will help in order to answer any questions you have. And then don't always feel free to email me. That's always going to be a good place to get a hold of me as well. And then I specifically have an eye out for all of your emails. But if you have any issues with dropping off on Google Dropbox, I made sure to open up the permissions. So that's already taken care of. And then the other thing that I've done is the class calendar is up. That's going to be continually updated. And the cool thing is that there's a button on there to add it. So if you need to add the calendar, you can do that, and you can have it on your phone. So if you're interested in doing that, you can have that on there as well. That way you can set up alerts and all of that. So I allow for it to be subscribed to. It's a public one. And then on top of that, the YouTube channel, this is the first time that I'm going to be publicly publishing. I'm going to make the videos public. That way you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'm going to be every time I go ahead and put up the videos on this new channel that I have for the spring, you're going to go ahead and you'll be able to look at, like, I'll put things in playlists, like a lecture playlist. There'll be a playlist just for class meetings. That way you can kind of see what's going on. And let's say like you missed a day or you want something to catch up and you wanted to see today's, you could click on, January 28th, class discussion, and it pops up on YouTube. So that's what we'll be doing. That's how it's going to work. So if you need anything, you'll be able to do that. And then of course, even if we finish early today at 5 o'clock, I'll keep my Zoom room open for people to ask if they need one-on-one, or if they have any accommodations that they need me to go ahead and take care of. I'll basically just be standing by from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock to answer any of your questions if you need to have a one-on-one. Other than that, any other questions? Cool. So the thing that I want to do today is there's a series of videos that we're going to talk about that are from a series called Earworm, and they're by Vox Media. Vox is a news site that is all web-based, but they do some really good music documentaries, and they're short form. And the reason I like showing you this stuff is, one, it's fun. We're going to have one on Prince and his like a video obituary to Prince, and we're going to look at that. We're going to look at heavy metal. We're going to look at the development of new wave. We're going to look at some really cool stuff. But the thing that I want you to keep in mind as you're watching this stuff, I want you to take notes, and I want you to be looking at how are they explaining things? How are they explaining like the who were the players? What were the influences? What was the timeline? Were there timelines? Was there evidence shown? Were there quotes? Were there newspaper clippings? Were there interviews with people? What kind of evidence was shown to support the claims made in the video? Because expository writing, you have to do four things. You have to tell them what you're going to say, your introduction. You're going to say it, the body. You're going to back it up, which is your evidence, and then you're going to tell them what you said. You conclude. You've probably heard the tell them what you're going to say it, and then tell them what you said. Well, I add a fourth one to that. So you got to back it up. And so you, like Missy Elliott. And so, thank you, Freddie. The only one on video, so you're the only one I know who's laughing. And so the thing that you want to be able to do is you want the evidence there in order for you to solidify what you're doing, because in grad school, that's all you do is here's an argument or here's a hypothesis or a paper or whatnot. What is the most important thing out of this 500-page book that you're supposed to read, and distill it into 5 pages and tell the professor why it's the most important thing in the book and why. That's the kind of things that you do in grad school, is you're distilling information to its most important elements, and then you're backing that up with research and logic. And so that's the thing that I want to work on heavily with you guys, is it's not just writing, it's what you're writing is going to be really important. And so I want this class to be the tools for you to succeed going into graduate school. All your post-baccalaureate degree, I want you to be able to be successful in the tools that you're going to need in order to succeed in that. So with that being said, we're going to start with something fun. And I want you to take a look, if you notice, at the questions that I have on here, it's how does, looking at why disco made pop songs longer. So take note, how does the video present the influence of disco? How does it describe the vinyl format? How does it explain the influence of the 45 RPM record? How does it explain the benefits of using the 12-inch single? What kind of evidence is used to support the claims made in the video? So keep that in mind, like keep that in your window as you're doing this. And then we're going to go ahead and watch. It's only 9 minutes. We're going to watch it together. For those of you who are on YouTube, who are watching this later, I'm going to cut out the video, and you're going to get a little message right now that'll say that the video has been cut out because I don't want to get content matched. And then go ahead and watch the video that's in week 1. We're going to watch it now. And then in this video, you're going to see a cut right now. And then we're going to go to the discussion. Cool. So do me a favor, just for right now, just for the few minutes that we're going to go ahead and talk about it, can you guys go ahead and just jump on your video and your mics really quick? We're not going to do this for very long. I know some people can be shy, but let's just jump on for a second so we can all talk to each other. So what do you think? What I'm going to open up the floor, and I'd love for you guys to talk about it amongst each other, and I'll just kind of lead the conversation. So what was the influence of the 12-inch single? What happened? And anybody can jump in. This is just a conversation.
I mean, it changed the game of music. Made the music sound better. People dance longer. The nightlife changed. The clubs changed. Yeah, and plus it made the DJ job a whole lot easier. Like he said, he could go to do his personal thing. So yeah.
What about you guys?
It also made it like a lot easier
Mhm.
having like different vinyls, so they can like keep re-releasing it and keep the same song going in a way.
Mhm.
So I think that was really beneficial for like the music industry.
Yeah, totally. What about you guys, Nikita, Kayla? What do you guys think? Was there anything that surprised you guys, or was anything like, oh, I didn't even know that?
Didn't it change the length of the average song?
Mm-hmm. Change the length of the song by happy accident, right? Here's an interesting thing. How were things described to you? How were you able to take in that information? How were you able to understand it? Were there things that made the concepts easier to understand? Anybody can jump in. And Sid, Sarai, anybody can jump on in. Did you see timelines? Did you see newspaper clippings? Did you see, what'd you guys, I'm throwing a bone out to you guys. Come on.
I saw those things, like a lot of newspaper articles. They put a lot of graphs out there, and a lot of the visual like effects. I mean, it made it easier to follow because they were like showing us pictures
Mhm.
instead of words to see it. So I learned better that way. And when I see something like physically,
Yeah, they were able to give you kind of a visual representation of what they were talking about in terms of like dynamic range or like the grooves on a record and what it does. I mean, because that's how you were able to explain like, what is the benefit of a 12-inch single over a 7-inch single? It's longer. What else? Sounds better. DJs could use it. So there's a whole host of things that, they try, and it's not just like, oh, the 12-inch single, you can change pop music. Okay. Well, how? Why? What were the influences? And then the big thing is, what were the implications of it? What was like the kind of the net result of that, right? So what ended up happening because of that. And so those are kind of the big implications of what goes on. It's not just about who or what or when, but why and what are the implications. Like, that's going to be one of the big things you look at as you're looking at, like, for instance, your controversial research topic. When you're picking your topic, that's going to be a big thing to focus on, is the why. Like, is like, what are the implications? Like, what is it that's going to be really important to think about when you're looking at this stuff? So, when you're looking at gun control um, or environmental policies or DACA or whatever it may be, you're looking at, not just like why there should or shouldn't be a certain policy, but also like, what are the implications if that changes. So those are going to be big questions that you're going to be thinking about as we go through the course of the term. So just keep that in the back of your head. But yeah, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to do, like in these class meetings. Next time, I think I have one on, I think it's on 80s house music. That is a derivative of disco. So that'll be really cool. And then we do hip hop, and then we're going to do a couple of other cool things. So it'll be fun. But with that, do I have any other questions or anything you guys want to know before we finish up for the day? Cool. How you guys feeling about we know what we got to do. So reading, the writing journal, which I've seen some of you have already done, which is great. Get it out of the way. And then we're gonna and then make sure that you get your writing sample in by Tuesday. And then do me a favor, on Tuesday, be prepared to talk about Benjamin Zander's video on how classical music is for everyone. Since you've already kind of written a response, you can even just have the response ready to go. And then we'll just kind of talk about like what was your takeaway from it? What'd you think about it? So I definitely want to get your feedback on it and see what you guys think and have a nice little discussion about it. Like what was impactful, how did he make his points? Were they convincing? If not, why? If so, why? So that's going to be the type of thing that we'll be doing on Monday. And then we'll have a little bit of discussion about the reading. So, what's in the book, how is the book structured, things like that. It'll be pretty simple stuff, just to get just to cut our teeth on it. But other than that, that's all I got for you for today. If anybody else doesn't have any questions, then we're going to go ahead and close it out. For those of you on YouTube, make sure to follow up with the rest of the work for week 1, and we will see you in week 2.